It was 150 years ago that Alice fell down the rabbit hole. Why am I talking about this? Because this Lewis Carroll book kick-started fantasy literature. And if there is one word that the entire gaming industry depends on, that's fantasy. It is amusing how an age-old piece of literature like this can inspire a game for today's generation. Our first game today, Alice Madness.
Oh, my wonderland's shattered.
In Alice Madness, the wonderland of Alice's imagination has been mangled into a dark and demonic caricature filled with torturous hallucinations. Creative and creepy visuals give this action-packed thriller a twisted and surreal vibe, drawing you into a land inhabited by fire-breathing doll babies and squirming leeches.
Now it's time to put your blade to work.
This game is not a direct rip-off of the Lewis Carroll classic, but as the name suggests, it is definitely based on this. Alice is a survivor of a fire at her home, which killed her mother and her sister and left her insane. Now all that Alice does is hallucinates a wonderland that is filled with demons and monsters. To save herself, Alice must save this wonderland. Quite a confusing story, but the gameplay is so good that you actually won't hear me complaining.
Each chapter explores a different visual theme, some of them impossible to describe in a few simple words.
Matter of priorities. My alabaster skin needs protection from the disgusting creatures running amok amidst the environs.
Rusted platforms float against a cloudy yellow backdrop next to clock towers from which giant forks and teapots dangle. Alice's clothing also changes from chapter to chapter, and her flowery prints and blood-red fabrics subtly match the artistic backgrounds in each level.
Wonderland is not the only place you explore, however. Each chapter starts with an increasingly morose London, and you explore the city. And this depiction of the city, this vision of the city, is more grubby and industrial than even what Carroll's contemporary Charles Dickens conjured up in A Tale of Two Cities. The soundtrack, however, of this game is fantastic. You would just fall in love with the soundtrack when you hear the tinkling of the toy piano and the low double basses, which are a fine contrast to the pounding drum beats when you are in a battle.
Alice is generally a dream to control due to the effortless way you can string multiple jumps together and float gently downward. You can shrink yourself to a minute size and enter keyholes where you might find lost memories. You also come across floating pig snouts and can shoot them with, wait for this, pepper from your pepper grinder to uncover new pathways. Hidden treasures are scattered all over, and although it may sound like a game for 10-year-olds, it is in fact quite a trip.
Another hive up there.
However, having said that, a game that runs primarily on fantasy runs the risk of becoming monotonous. Alice's character does not have a lot of tricks. It's a limited bag of tricks, so you keep performing the same actions in the same context again and again. The levels are kind of monotonous. They do not have a momentum or continuity. So what happens is you could replace one sequence with another, and if it were not for the unique environments, you wouldn't even notice. This is not a game that would have me going at it for 14 hours straight. Then again, if I've had a long, tiring day at work, I wouldn't mind mindlessly, senselessly bashing up a few goblins or burning a few hideous creatures with pepper. You should buy this game, if only to find out how imaginative a game designer can be. But before you rush off to your nearest landmark to find a CD, a copy of this CD, you should check out the overall rating I would give this game.
Alice in Wonderland becomes Alice in Murderland. Well, very nice concept. I would give it 9 on 10. It wouldn't have been possible if the graphics were not fantastic. The graphics are gory, creepy, and most importantly, creative. I would give it 8 on 10. Well, it's a bit senseless that you have to shoot enemies with your pepper gun, but you can't deny the fact that this game is actually fun. You would enjoy it, 8 on 10. And as I mentioned in the review, the soundtrack is very, very good. I would give it 9 on 10.
World Wrestling Federation has been a part of everyone's childhood experience. You have loved it, hated it, stared at the screen while watching it on mute in the middle of the night. Despite the zillion disclaimers that you should not try this at home, you have done that with your pillows and at times with your friends. Now when a phenomenon like this can captivate the young audience so much, it would do that more so on a console. Which is why the game that we're discussing today is the next one in the edition of WWE. It's called WWE All-Stars.
A born fighter filled with ruthless aggression, the Champ!
As the name suggests, this game features every possible wrestling star who has ever stepped into the ring. It has also successfully amplified the hard-hitting, gravity-defying action mode. Cartoonishly muscular character models, highly resembling the ones on TV screens, help the game pack a powerful punch. However, not without its flaws. The crucial reversal move, something that has come under heavy criticism for every edition of WWE Gaming, is again tough to master, as in the previous editions. If you're caught in the lock of your opponent, well, you're just caught.
There it is again! His opponent had better learn to look out for that Nielsen with a bulldog!
However, having said that, the pleasure of counter-attack with a special move is undeniable. Especially the conditions where Undertaker is lying down all beaten and he rises out of nowhere and chokeslams his opponent. In fact, I would go on to say that this game captures the excitement and spectacle of something so real better than any other game from recent memory. Now, some people complain that this game comes with a shelf life, meaning that this is a bit too much of button mashing, senseless game which is probably only for the kids. Very true. WWE has always been a bit of a senseless game, which is why it tries to make up for that with killer graphics that would keep you glued to your joystick.
Every time you press the LT and your character launches into his or her finishing move, the scene is brought to life with colored ribbons of light. The background changes to black and white, time slows down, and the opponent is left helpless for you to savor every moment of your glory. Then it speeds up to deliver the punishing move with a thunderous crash. These audio and graphical elements surely amplify the drama that is WWE. In this flurry of attacks, it is important for you to master the art of reversal. Whether you're kicked, punched, or being grappled, there is always a chance to tap the reversal button and launch a counter move. But this is not swift. At times you may sprain your thumb and knock the reversal button off the joystick without being able to move your opponent by an inch. It can be quite frustrating.
Now we take a quick look at the gameplay or how the game flows. The fact that this game is called WWE All-Stars means that you have a wide range, a wide choice of wrestling giants to choose from. So you can choose someone like who's kind of old, like Jimmy Superfly Snuka or Rowdy Roddy Piper, to someone who's more recent like Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock, or someone who's most recent like John Cena or The Miz. My most favorite is the Fantasy Warfare mode, where you pitch a character against the other and both are quite similar in the skill sets. So you have someone like Andre the Giant versus the Big Show in a big man match. Now, these are the kind of matches that we always fantasized in our head, but never got a chance to actually see in the ring.
And what's more, you can create your own cartoonish muscular character in this edition and set out on a challenge against the world's greatest. Needless to say that a character's chances of winning the game are directly related to his present ranking and reputation in the real world. And if you have enough time to kill, you can also play around with the character's look and feel to give it a more WWE-like touch.
In a nutshell, WWE All-Stars captures the essence of wrestling entertainment very well. Although it would frustrate you with the slow load time and the difficult reversal techniques, but then at the end of the day, my opinion is, if you have ever been a fan of wrestling entertainment, flex in your muscles and jump into the ring for this fantastic game. Here are the more detailed ratings of the game.
It is not a new concept, it must have been the 90th edition of WWE Gaming that is out, so a 6 on 10. WWE is about larger-than-life battles, and the graphics add a lot to this particular game, 8 on 10. A button mashing game, I don't know if you will enjoy it, but if you like senseless button mashing games, then this one is very enjoyable, 9 on 10. There is not much of a soundtrack really, except for the intro songs for the wrestlers, so not much creativity there, a 7 on 10.